this is. Okie dokie, Alki.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. DJ, how are you doing? We're recording this, Wednesday on one of the first days of what's considered legal tampering?
Yeah, legal tampering. That doesn't even make any. Why would they call it that? I don't get that. Why they chose that name.
Seems like quite the contradiction.
A little bit like an oxymoron there. It's like the Civil War, you know?
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
It's just dumb. Just call it. You can legally talk to guys now.
Yeah, that's what they should do. And the thing is, like, even when it's illegal tampering time, are we trying to make believe that these people aren't talking?
Yeah, they should call it, like, flirtation.
Ooh, I like that.
Because you're starting to flirt a little bit with the guys. See what they're all about, see if they like you.
They should, so if it's illegal tampering time, they should call it, oh my gosh, what's the word when you are cheating when you're in a relationship? I'm drawing a blank.
Now you got me all drawn a blank.
Wow, it's such a simple word and we're blanking on it.
Like adultery?
Adultery, yeah. So there's adultery and then there's flirtation. That's the word.
Yeah, there you go.
They might as well keep it that way. I don't know. I like that.
I like it too.
Nice. Well, thank you once again for listening. We want to start this podcast out also by saying big congrats to our boy Mitchell Renz, who's now part of the fantasy footballers. So big congrats to Mitchell, or we like to call him Mitch. He's not like that Trubisky guy who gets all what's the word I'm looking for? Bitchy when people call him Mitch. How about that?
Mitchell to Mitchell?
Yeah, so congrats to Mitch and Mitchell Renz. What do you think about Mitch Trubisky wanting to be called Mitchell?
I think I'm going to keep calling him Mitch because it's just what I've been calling him. Nobody's going to change. I don't know why guys do that thinking that people are going to change what they call him. We always stay the same.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Mitch because he doesn't want to be called Mitch. That's what he gets.
I might just call him by something completely different, like George.
Yeah, George Trubisky.
Yeah, I'm going to call him something completely different. Like, how about that?
Yeah.
George Trubisky.
Suck it, Mitchell.
Yeah, we should call him Boobisky Trubisky.
There was something going on Twitter where they were using like all the letters from his name and coming up with different things to call him. He asked for this. You don't give yourself a name. You don't give yourself a nickname. That's how that goes. People call you what they're going to call you. You don't get to. I think we've talked about this before. You don't get to make that decision on your own. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't try to sound older.
Yeah, maybe that's the look he's going for.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, last podcast we broke down the AFC East and then some quarterbacks in the NFL draft, and today we're going to break down some team needs and some offseason plans for the NFC East, and then break down running backs in the NFL draft. And DJ, when you put our content calendar together, it was just kind of fate that you happened to put NFC East down today. And we get some big news from the NFC East. And the team that won the division last year was the Cowboys. And their big news, I'll let you go into the Cowboys here, but their big news today, I think we all kind of expected it at some point, but it's still big news regardless. The fact that they announced that they're going to be releasing Tony Romo tomorrow as free agency begins.
Yeah, and that's really just a big, loyalty move, really, by the Cowboys, because that's some dead money that they're kind of giving up there. So, I mean, that's just doing something for a guy that's played for you for a long time. Doing him a favor and letting him go somewhere he wants to go. And maybe the good thing is he'll probably end up in Denver and Houston. So if they did play him, it wouldn't be until, a Super Bowl.
Right.
So there wouldn't be nothing wrong with that for them either. So it'd be a good move on both sides. So
yeah,
I kind of like the loyalty there that the Cowboys are doing.
That's a great way to put it. I didn't even think about it that way, but that's clearly what it is. It's a loyalty move, and you always think about the owners, especially a guy like Jerry Jones, who just got money falling out of his pockets, and just some people probably label him greedy, but other people label him as smart. And in this case, we're labeling him as loyal, and it's a really good it's a really good look for him, and it's just a cool opportunity for a guy like Romo, who's he's never really had this opportunity to test free agency and to see what he could do outside of Dallas. So kind of a really cool move there. And like you said, it looks like Denver and Houston are probably the likely landing spots for him. Part of me wants to say Denver, but I don't know. The more I think about it, I really think Houston's a great landing spot for a guy like Romo.
Well, and if you think about it, which conference would be easier to win? I mean...
Oh, it's hands down the South, yeah.
Exactly. So might as well go in there and wreck some people and get one of the best wide receivers. I mean, you got great wide receivers either place you go, but it's a much easier division over there in the AFC South than it is in the AFC West with Derek Carr and the Chiefs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, regardless of the Cowboys releasing Romo, it's probably not one of their pressing needs since they have Prescott and they liked what they saw out of him, obviously, his rookie season. So what are you feeling here for the Cowboys to focus on, both tomorrow as free agency starts and then as we hit the draft?
Well, I mean, with the Cowboys, it's pretty easy. They don't need anybody on offense, really. Let's be honest. I don't think they need to. I know that Terrence Williams and somebody else are free agents, but their offensive line is Ezekiel Elliott, that they could focus on the defense because that's kind of where they got picked apart by the Packers defensively. Right. So I think one of the bigger things that kind of stuck out to everybody going into that game, I think the Packers game was their biggest weakness is they weren't rushing the passer real well. No. So I was thinking they run a 4-3 defense, so some kind of defensive end, and then free agency you could target a guy like Nick Perry, and I know people are going to be like, oh, he's an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, but if you've ever watched Nick Perry, I mean, he's not like a true outside linebacker. He doesn't cover guys.
Right.
He wants to bull rush, and he's actually a better run stopper who added pass rushing to his game this last year. So he's got a high target, a big target on his back right now. I know he's rumored to be getting a big contract offer from the Jets. Who knows if that's true? Another guy would be a guy like Calais Campbell. They just need somebody else or somebody there to put some pressure on the quarterback so they aren't getting picked apart by guys like Aaron Rodgers in big playoff games. And also they could go after I know we've talked about this guy over and over again, these two guys, and I know I'm probably going to talk about him more because it seems like defensive end, the way the league's going, the outside linebacker defensive end is the second most important position. Yeah. So if you don't need a quarterback, we're most likely looking at this position. So like a Taco Charlton, or Charles Harris.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
My thoughts there.
Like you said, they need to address that defensive end. Rodgers, that was the thing in that game, in the playoff game against the Packers. They never could get to Rodgers. He had all day back there. It's really unfortunate a couple years back that the whole Randy Gregory experiment didn't pan out because what were they able to get him in the third round?
Yeah, I could have told you he was going to be a problem ahead of time.
Yeah, but it was, in my eyes, it was still kind of worth it. You're looking at a first-round talent, getting him in the third round, so, yeah, it didn't work, but it's not like the Dolphins where you took Deion Jordan with the third pick overall. I think it was
a disappointment from the beginning, though. I can tell you right now, that guy couldn't stay healthy for more than 2 games at a time. I'm sorry to interject, but I watched him, and he, not just being a troublemaker, which he always was, bad attitude, but he couldn't stay healthy for more than 2 games. He'd get injured every single game. He just was never going to be a consistent NFL player. I don't think he ever will be.
No, probably not anymore. Between those injuries and staying out of trouble with the law and the rules that the NFL have, it's not set up well for him. But I still think it's kind of unfortunate that it didn't work out because I feel like when he did flash and when he could make a splash play, he was there, but it just obviously couldn't ever be consistent. I like the idea of bringing back DeMarcus Ware, and I've thought about this for a while now, and I finally saw it rumored today where they were talking about bringing DeMarcus Ware back. He already spent the majority of his career in Dallas, already has a Super Bowl ring, and now if he can go out towards the end of his career to try to help Dallas win one, I think that would be just kind of an amazing story, and we've seen this before with a guy like Jason Taylor who spent basically his entire career with the Dolphins, flirted with the Redskins and the Jets for a little while, and then came back and finished it out in Miami and actually had a couple of good years. So I could see Ware doing something like that as well. But I'm with you on defensive end. Do you have any other team needs for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I thought, sticking with their defensive theme, you got to look at cornerback position. And I guess I could have just said D-backs in general because it looks like Barry Church just got – who did he get signed by today? I read that.
Oh, yes. Did he go to the Jaguars as well?
Yeah, he went to the Jaguars. That's right. So it looked like he just got signed today. So I could have done – when I did this, I didn't have that down, but I had cornerbacks. So Claiborne and Carr are both free agents. I could see them re-signing Brandon Carr, but Claiborne is a trick. He's not a good cornerback.
Right.
I would let him go above them. So I know A.J. Bouye and Tremaine Johnson right now are rumored to have potential trade partners, but those are obviously a couple options they could still go after. Otherwise, in the draft, they're looking at someone like Marlon Humphrey, Sidney Jones, and Ortiz Tabor. They have the 28th pick, so those are kind of the cornerbacks that are looking around that area.
Yeah, I feel like they, especially if they lose Claiborne, like you said, neither of us are like super big on Claiborne, but especially if they lose him, I think they have to go defense in the draft, whether that is in the secondary or defensive end. I think you take best available from those positions.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think you got to go defense there. I also had corner. I echo what you said. The only other position that I really think they should look at addressing is wide receiver. I know you said that they're pretty stacked on offense the way it is, and it's not a dire need. But since they've had Des Bryant, they've never really had that true threat at number 2, and I really think that could take that offense to the next level. If they could add a guy like Kenny Stills or Deshaun Jackson, I honestly haven't seen either of those rumored to Dallas until today. There was a small blurb about Deshaun Jackson maybe with Dallas, but I also think that there's pretty strong rumors about him going to Tampa. So I don't see that happening, but maybe a guy like Alshon Jeffrey. But I think bringing a second receiver to Dallas would be good, especially Terrence Williams never really panned out, plus he's unlikely to be back. They did re-sign Bryce Butler. That's probably who you were mentioning earlier. They re-signed him today. So they do have him. I really liked him in preseason last year. He flashed well, but he's not your clear number 2 guy. So if they could add another big body guy, opposite side, or a speed guy opposite of Des Bryant, I think that could take the offense to the next level.
That was the other thing I was going to say, and I remembered Bryce Butler as you were talking there. I was going to say he flashed as somebody who could be a really good wide receiver,
right?
If he stays healthy. But did you hear about Kenny Britt, that little Kenny Britt thing that was going on?
I don't know if I did.
So apparently somebody, I don't know, and it's probably just garbage, but there was a guy in Atlantic City saying he was Kenny Britt, and they had like his name on a receipt and said that he was signing with the Eagles.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like this Kenny Britt, if it was Kenny Britt, or if it was a guy pretending to be some kind of imposter, pretending to be Kenny Britt.
Nice.
Said he was all bragging about signing with the Eagles.
Gosh, who even gets the opportunity?
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like people I could impersonate, but I don't think that I look anything like that. You could do Danny Green for the Spurs. You could definitely.
You could be Brendan Dassey.
No, you could be the NBA version Danny Green. You could like be on a flight and be like, oh yeah, I'm signing with the Sixers, but dude, you could pull it off.
Yeah, except I'd have to grow a foot.
True, they wouldn't believe you. I take it back, man. We're screwed. We don't possess any of the qualities to pull this off. Well, let's stick on that theme of teams that made big moves today, and the team that finished second in the NFC East was the Giants, and I mean that's been the biggest news of free agency so far. It's Brandon Marshall after getting cut by the Jets, being free to sign anywhere and picking the Giants. So what do you think about Marshall there? Do you think that helps or hurts a guy like Odell Beckham at this point?
It's kind of weird because I know all the rumors were him going to the Patriots, which makes perfect sense for both of them. He wants to go somewhere that you can win a championship. And, I mean, he's guaranteed playoffs and probably AFC championship at worst at New England, and potentially an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl. And what kind of offer could the Patriots have made him that wasn't better than 2 years, $12 million? That is so ridiculous and cheap. I don't understand. Maybe he just doesn't like the Patriots. Like, maybe he hates Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. He's like, screw it. I don't want to go there. I don't like the Patriot way. He's more of an outspoken guy, and he doesn't want to be quiet. I don't know. It's weird. Because he's getting – I mean, he's a number one wide receiver still in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a year off of having a great year. Not just last year, but the year before.
Right. Where
he just had a great year. You know, he had 10-plus touchdowns and was a dominant fantasy receiver.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand why he would choose to go there. I don't know. There's so many good teams in the NFC. You have a better opportunity of making the playoffs and winning the championship with the Patriots. You're almost guaranteed to get to the AFC Championship at the minimum, like I said. So it's kind of weird. I mean, Randall Cobb gets paid $10 million a year.
Per year.
They just paid him $6 million.
Yeah, it's definitely.
That annoys me.
It's definitely
so much.
It's definitely the best bargain of any starting receiver that I can think of in the league right now. And I had read something earlier today about him wanting to stay in New York, so maybe that was part of it. But there's two ways I think you can kind of look at this right now. It's if things are going well, Marshall kind of was that head case receiver back in the day. Maybe he can kind of show Odell Beckham the ropes and help take Beckham's game to the next level. But let's say the Giants lose 3 games in a row, Marshall's not getting targets or Beckham's not getting targets. I don't know that I can think of a worse 2 guys to get together head-to-head. Like, what happens if they start disagreeing on things? It could turn into a nightmare really fast.
Yeah, that could be. They'd have a hell of a time in Miami, though.
Oh, well, duh. I mean, Odell Beckham already has a hell of a time in Miami.
I mean, just partying before the playoffs and shit.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, have a great time.
Well, I don't really think either of us really had receiver as a off-season position of need, but they got one anyways. But what else do you have as a need for the Giants here?
I mean, you got to protect your moneymaker, right? You got to protect Eli Manning. So definitely got to look at a tackle, trying to keep him off the ground. Somebody like an Andrew Whitworth, or I don't think I saw him today. Russell Okung, and maybe even a Matt Khalil. Otherwise, I know we mentioned last week the draft isn't really a place to get an offensive lineman this year. I said that the Wisconsin tackle is the only guy that was worth drafting, and who even knows if he is, Ryan Ramczyk. So I feel like this is a position that you need to look for a guy in the free agency. So one of those 3 guys I said is probably your best option at that position right now. An experienced guy instead of a rookie.
Yeah, last week I was saying that when we were breaking down the quarterbacks, I said a sneaky and what I thought was a good pick at the time would be if the Giants used their first rounder on Deshaun Watson. But now that they've signed Marshall, I think that they're in complete win-now mode, and I don't see them taking a quarterback in the first round anymore. So with that, I honestly think that they have the 23rd pick. That might be an okay spot to take a tackle. You had mentioned Ramczyk, and there's a couple of guys out there. Cam Robinson out of Alabama, and a guy that really shot up before and after the combine was Garrett Bowles out of Utah. So I'm actually kind of leaning now for when I do my first mock here that I think I might have the Giants taking an offensive lineman and probably being Bowles, just because I think you need to protect Manning at all costs now. If they're going to be in win mode now, if one of the running backs drops to him, sure, fine, go ahead with them. But honestly, I'm going to talk about tight end next, and I think you might be too. But honestly, if one of the tight ends isn't there, I would go with one of those offensive tackles at number 23 overall.
Sorry, I missed that last part that you said. I got a little stumbly.
Oh, I was just saying that if one of the tight ends isn't there, I would be going with a guy like Garrett Bowles out of Utah in the first round.
Yeah, and I was going to mention tight end as well. And I think right now, if I had to my draft right now, if I had to finalize my mock draft right now, I think I'd actually have them taking one of the tight ends at this point. Because, I mean, with Brandon Marshall, with them going to get Brandon Marshall, who knows what they're going to do at the running back position. I could feel like they're going to go get something like that. I know they like Paul Perkins, but I can see them trying to go get some kind of running back, another one in free agency. I think maybe they're just going like Atlanta Falcons mode and just trying to load up that offense.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see them going luxury here and grabbing a tight end like O.J. Howard if he's there. Might not be what he could be. Or Njoku, like you like that guy. So
yeah,
those are two options. I think I would have them. I could see them going after. I think Jared Cook is going to get re-signed by the Packers. Personally, he's an option, but I think he will. But now Martellus Bennett, who is clearly not going to be on the Patriots anymore. Now that they traded for Dwayne Allen today, and then Gronk's there. Obviously, he's definitely not going back there. So he's a definite option for the Chargers, the Giants as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to bring Bennett back. I mean, that's where he started and kind of got everything going. So it'd be interesting to see, now that he's even better, how he could play with Eli and all those guys around him. I think that's it would be a sweet location for him. Just remember how good like Eli and Jeremy Shockey were.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I really like them taking Njoku as well. Let's say they don't like one of those linemen. I think that tight end, I mean, maybe it's just coincidence, obviously, that he went to Miami as well. But surrounding Eli with Njoku and Shepard, Odell Beckham, and Brandon Marshall, I mean, that's a legit offense that's immediately going to be able to compete with Dallas for that division. They spent last offseason trying to improve the defense. They got a couple cornerbacks, Janoris Jenkins. They drafted well. They've had Landon Collins. They got Olivier Vernon. They really focused on the defense, and now I really feel they're that win now, let's go and get this one. I think that they can add that playmaker tight end. I really think that they can push Dallas for that division.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm not sold on Eli being the quarterback. I just don't think he's that good. His arm seemed like it was going to Peyton Manning arm more this year. He's seen it on shit. I'm not sold on Eli. I think I even said today to a friend, I was like, all they need now is a quarterback. like put Ryan Nassib in. Like I think they'd be better off trying somebody else. I don't like Eli. Not
Ryan Nassib, though. Come on, that guy's one of the worst backup quarterbacks in the league. That's why I liked them drafting Watson. But now after today's moves, I have to punt on that idea. I don't see it happening anymore. So
yeah, put Nassib in.
No, don't do that. Let's go to one of your favorite teams there, the Washington Redskins. I know how much you love Kirk Cousins. He hasn't signed his tender yet. There's been some rumors about maybe them trading Cousins to the 49ers. The move that the Redskins did make today, they re-signed the Fossil and Vernon Davis. So a couple of moves nonetheless, but what are your feelings on the Redskins?
I'm so confused by the Redskins, and that ties in with your San Francisco Niners thing, because I know the Niners they were the other big team in free agency today, probably the biggest team in free agency in the Niners, with Hoyer, which I don't get.
Well, they said that they see him as a backup. They're just trying to add insurance, I guess.
And that was the thing I was going to say. So they got Hoyer, which I don't get if they're going to bring him in for a backup. But does that mean they still think they're going to get Kirk Cousins?
Maybe. I could definitely see it.
And I don't know, then who would Washington's quarterback be? I don't know. So I guess we still have to see how that's going to play out yet. Right now, I think, obviously, Garcon's going to San Fran, and doesn't sound like Deshaun Jackson's going to be back either. Yeah. And we don't know anything about Josh Doxson yet. He couldn't, he wasn't on the field at all last year. So he was their, first-round draft pick last year?
Yep.
So, I mean, a wide receiver potentially could be another area that they're looking at the 17th pick in the draft, so they could look. I mean, I'm assuming Mike Williams will be gone by then, but I put him in the option because you never know how far he can drop. And then I also put Corey Davis down, the big guy in Western Michigan. I think they got to get a number one type wide receiver out there, and they can obviously go after. Who knows where he's going to go? I don't know where he's rumored to go yet. Have heard a million things, and then also Terrell Pryor, I have no idea, are options potentially to grab a free agency.
Right. I didn't have receiver as one of their needs just because of the fact that they still have Doxson. But I guess if I see him going receiver, I think it would be one of those middle tier receivers. The good thing about receivers is there's so many decent guys at different positions. So you have some speed guys, you have some possession guys, and you have some big body guys. So however they want, they can probably get a suitable guy through free agency rather than spending another first-round pick on a wide receiver, especially with this class. Kind of a lot of question marks. It's not like a stud receiver draft class, so I don't really see them going first-round receiver. But I see where your head's at, though. Obviously, I don't think Jackson's coming back either. So
I mean, I don't understand what they're doing. So they're either like, let's get rid of all of Kirk Cousins' weapons and see if he can do it with just Jordan Reed.
True.
Or let's just get rid of everybody, including Kirk Cousins, sending him to San Francisco and start it over right now. Like, I just don't get what they're either way what the point is here. So I want to see how they play it out here because I don't like the two options that I think that they're going, both directions that they're going.
Yeah, if you're going to rebuild, you got to all out hit the reset button. You can't do this half-ass shit. Like we've seen too many teams try to do that, and it just doesn't work. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. One of the positions I had was both defensive end and tackle. Earlier today, I saw they were rumored to be in the market for Dontari Poe. They're likely to lose Chris Baker at defensive tackle, so Poe would be an awesome fit there. He's good. He's young. The only problem is he's got some back issues, and at that position, I'm not sure that you want to fork over too much money with a guy that has a crappy back. But you're looking at defensive end. If you're going to go that route in the draft, I've kind of got my eye on a guy like Derek Barnett out of Tennessee. Maybe not available. He did a really good job at the combine despite having the flu, so he'd be someone to keep an eye on. The thing is about the draft too, I mean, watching the combine and watching Twitter during it, I think I saw about 40 prospects that people said, oh, he's in the top 20 now. So someone has to drop, obviously. So maybe it's a guy like Barnett to the Redskins, or maybe it's a guy like Takaris McKinley from UCLA. He's got that 3-4 outside linebacker body type, but I think teams might be a little scared of him because he didn't perform that well at the combine, and he's going to be out probably like 6 months because he had surgery the day after he tested at the combine. So a lot of options there. We have some breaking news. The Miami Dolphins re-signed Kenny Stills.
There you go.
I don't know what the price tag on that is, but good signing.
Must be real exciting for you.
Always.
Jesus Christ.
Do you have anything else for the Redskins?
No, I don't want to talk about defensive end much more. I'm skipping on that.
Okay. Oh, I want to say one sneaky pick for the Redskins maybe. Jabril Peppers. Not sold on him, on him going there or that high, but I could see that be a sneaky pick because they need help at linebacker. I don't think he's going to play linebacker in the NFL, but having that kind of hybrid guy that could be an outside linebacker or potentially a safety, that could be a unique pick there for the Redskins. So let's move.
Interesting.
Yeah, man, that's what I bring.
Seems a little early for somebody like him.
I agree, man, but just the way the NFL's kind of evolving with these hybrid positions, like, I don't know, I feel like the name always, they used to be dogs and they were jokers and now they're like Tyrann Matthews. So, I don't know, that position is kind of becoming a thing now.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to the last team in the NFC East who owned the number 14 pick in the draft because of a coin flip, which was exciting. I watched that one. The Philadelphia Eagles.
So I put them down as in the market for a cornerback. Aaron Rodgers also exposed their cornerbacks in his breakout week 11 when he started his streak and just destroyed that Eagles defense. So he exposed those defensive backs out in Philadelphia. The defense was playing really well up to them, and he just made them look like shit because he's Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, the rumored trade there is A.J. Bouye. They think it just sounds like they're in talks with the Texans about him, or with Bouye about him. What the hell am I saying? I don't know. They're in talks about Bouye coming into Philadelphia. Philadelphia likes those Texans quarterbacks, so
they're flirting with Bouye.
Exactly, they're flirting with Bouye. Or floating, because buoy kind of sounds like a
buoy.
A buoy, exactly.
There you go.
So he's probably the obvious one. I also just put down Marshawn Lattimore again at the 14th pick. Marlon Humphrey, Sidney Jones are also three cornerbacks they can look to draft if that buoy acquisition ends up falling through. So I feel like that's the obvious one we have to put down here. We'd be dumb, or I'd be dumb. We'd both be dumb if one of us didn't put it down. So I want to see what happens here. The weird thing with the NFL is you hear these big rumors about things. Like a Nick Perry, like I said, there's a huge money, they say, that potentially could be going down for Nick Perry. And I think maybe similar to what Bouye could be. And then all of a sudden, these will fall through, like last minute. Something will happen and fall on the table. And that's what it's so exciting about these free agencies. So we think it's guaranteed. We don't know what's going on in other places. You think other things are guaranteed, and nothing will happen, and you'll be disappointed. That's my whole life in free agency as a Packers fan is disappointment. So I don't count anything as guaranteed, but Bouye is rumored to go to Philadelphia, so I think that's who I'm counting there as of now.
Right, and even if they do sign him, I still think that the 14th pick in the draft is an ideal spot for them to take a cornerback, whether they get him or not. I think you obviously need multiple cornerbacks, and if you're going to bring in a guy, cornerback's not the easiest position to just step in and start day one as well. So being able to have someone you can learn from would be huge. You mentioned a couple of these guys, Marlon Humphrey out of Bama, Sid Jones out of Washington. You got the Florida guys in Tabor and Quincy Wilson. He'll probably be gone, but Tre'Davious White, LSU. Those are all the guys that may still be there after Wilson and Marshawn Lattimore are gone. So being able to get that quality of a cornerback at 14 overall, I think today if I'm doing my mock draft, regardless of whether they get Bouye or not, Bouye, what a terrible name, man. That's like that one I just can't say. So
I like to call him a Bouye.
Yeah, let's go with that. So
Bouye. More fun to say.
Regardless if they get your guy or not there, I still think cornerback on day one is the route that the Eagles need to go.
Yeah. You know how disappointing it is for me to sit here and talk about these cornerbacks and these defensive ends?
When you want every one of them?
When I want them so bad and I don't hear the Packers in any of the mix at all. Not even the guy I want the most, Nick Perry, to re-sign, like their own guy that they drafted.
Right.
It's just so annoying. I hate it.
You got to be used to it by now, though, man. The Packers sign, when they do sign people, it's the least, splash guy.
But it's like Nick Perry, I have a feeling is going to be gone, and he's their guy.
Yeah.
It's just, and then they're going to stick with Clay Matthews, who's their guy, and he's garbage. Why would you not get rid of the garbage guy and bring back the young, improving defensive end? It's just real freaking annoying. I'm just going on a Packers rant.
Teams do it, man. I mean, the Dolphins gave up on Lamar Miller and Olivier Vernon due to price. So I don't know, man. Everyone's doing it. You're not on an island.
Kinda am.
What else you got for the Eagles?
Then I went to the DN position.
Yeah.
They need to get a pass rush. Help out those cornerbacks that they're trying to improve as well. And I think that's the biggest part of having good D-backs is getting to the quarterback. And that's why DN, outside linebacker, is so important. I know the Eagles still run kind of that wide nine weird-looking thing that they do. So, again, I put Perry here. Again, he's not just an outside linebacker stand-up guy. He's a good option, I think, as a defensive end, and Calais Campbell. And, again, another guy we mentioned, Derek Barnett, since they're at the 14th pick, they might be able to get him. And Mr. Nacho Taco Charlton as well. What a name. I want to come up with something better, but his name is Taco already.
Yeah, man, it's already there. They asked him on NFL.
What was that Taco Bell? What's the Taco Bell, ice cream treat?
Taco Bell has ice cream?
Yeah, it's like the something taco, Choco Taco.
Oh, jeez. Never heard of it.
Taco Charlton.
Is it because he's black?
You don't know the Choco Taco?
No. Dude,
oh, my God.
Disappointed in
Where's my
myself.
wife? She probably slapped you.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. I should be knowing that stuff.
I knew his last name and the first name would remind me of a tree. Choco Taco Charlton.
Nice.
Some
They were asking.
give him that nickname.
Yeah, they were asking him on NFL Network where it came from, and he wasn't going to say it because he wants his grandma, who gave him the nickname, to break the news. He doesn't want to steal her thunder. So we're going to have to wait for his grandma to break that one. But
taco up his ass.
Whoa. Aggressive.
No, he's taco.
One of the positions I was thinking here that probably not addressing it with the 14th overall pick, but hopefully and maybe in free agency, is receiver. It sounds like from all the rumors and the reports I've been seeing, they want to spend this offseason just getting weapons to surround Carson Wentz. And I know that there were some talks real early about Deshaun Jackson. Like I said, I think he's going to be a Buccaneer. There were rumors of Kenny Stills. He's a Dolphin now. But there's trade talks about Brandon Cooks. And I think that the Saints, if the reports are true about them turning down the Patriots' first-round pick and then...
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like they're asking too much. But if somehow the Eagles and the Saints could work out something, I think Cooks would be a solid fit in Philadelphia. I don't know if they're going to get the guy in the draft that they want there. I mean, you're looking at Williams, John Ross, Corey Davis. If they want to get their top guy and he's still there, by all means, go for it. But I really think they need to get a dominant outside guy outside of Jordan Matthews. All the other options that they've got recently have just kind of fallen by the wayside. They've been disappointment. Nelson Aguilar's really hasn't turned out to anything. They traded for Dorial. Yeah, I mean, they traded for Dorial Green Beckham, who was like a freak in college, and then he just really hasn't put it together yet either. I think receiver is a position they need to address. I just don't know if first round of the draft is where you should do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They had to sit Nelson Aguilar for a game or two this year. He just was not playing well. He couldn't catch the ball. He just isn't turning out to be the wide receiver he showed flashes that he could be his rookie year.
Right.
But I told you, man, freaking Kenny Britt is going there. Is that who I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I told you. He's going there. Kenny Britt.
Well, there you go.
We're breaking news here.
Man, we are just breaking news left and right. You probably got bamboozled again, though. It's probably a dude on a flight.
You know what's going to happen? If he goes there, I'm going to just say that I broke that shit. Even though I stole it from somebody else.
Right. Well, I honestly, if he does go there, I think that's a good pairing. I think Britt has kind of got some untapped potential. I saw a list of people that he had more receiving yards this year in the league, and you just wouldn't believe some of the guys that are on that list. It's like Hopkins.
Like DeAndre Hopkins.
Allen Robinson. Yeah, I mean, there's legit guys on that list. So kind of flies under the radar, and he was playing with one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year in kind of a handicapped offense. So that could be some good potential there. One other position real quick is running back. I think if Dalvin Cook or Leonard Fournette are there at 14, I think that could be an interesting selection for the Eagles if they wanted to go that route. I saw earlier that they planned on keeping Darren Sproles, but he's getting older, man, and he's not an every down back. So also saw the rumors of Jamal Charles, but I think you need more insurance than a guy like Jamal Charles, who basically didn't play last year. So even if they don't want to go Fournette or Cook, or if they're not available, there's some legit mid-round guys that they could target. I had down Samaje Perine, Kareem Hunt, Joe Mixon. He's kind of the wild card. A guy I really like, Davion Smith, and James Conner. I think all these guys maybe aren't all-out starters, but if you pair them with a guy like Sproles or Wendell Smallwood and just kind of do a running back by committee, I think they can all fill in. But I think that they can address running back at some point in the mid-rounds.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of running backs, let's dive right into the NFL draft running backs.
What do we want to get going on this guy?
Are you going to start?
You want me to start ranking these guys?
Yeah, go ahead with your running backs. You can tell me like who you have ranked. I'll just chime in real quick. We'll do a little bit back and forth, but we'll go with your rankings, and I'll just chime in after each one.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of mixed thoughts on who the top running back is. I don't think there should be a question here, but I really love Leonard Fournette. I've been a big Leonard Fournette fan since I heard about him coming out of high school. This guy's just a freak of nature. He's just his body type. He's a monster, and he's run. What did he run? Like a 4? What's it?
4.51, I think.
4.56. What?
Yeah, right around 4.5.
Yeah, 40. And he's just a truck. I mean, he's the Adrian Peterson type rare body, size, strength, speed that he has. He's just going to be hard to stop, especially if he gets in a decent offense that can run block. I've got some kind of high targets for him. I'm looking in the top 10 here. I'm looking potentially going to the Jaguars. I mean, they need to take some pressure off of Blake Bortles. And what better to do that is an actually good running back. I mean, TJ Yeldon and Chris Ivory just aren't getting it done. Did not get it done there at all.
Yeah.
Get this guy a good running back so that some people have to come down and bring 7 and 8 in the box and focus on somebody like him. That would be an awesome pick, I think.
I think the Jaguars could take a lot of pressure off Bortles by getting in a new quarterback.
Oh, Jesus. Bortles is going to be just fine. Don't give up on him yet.
I've given up, man. I'm done with him and his slow ass.
I'm not giving up on him. I still think he's going to be a good quarterback.
No, that's
I can also
that's
see.
on you.
I can also see the New York Jets. I think that's a landing spot at number 6. Matt Forte is just old, really old. So I mean, you got to get yourself. They like to run the ball in New York, and you got to get yourself a pound and grounded type of guy there. What's his name? The backup that
Bilal Powell.
Our Becker hot take guy like so much. Either he's more of like a third down guy who you could definitely keep with Leonard Fournette, or potentially the Panthers at the number 8 pick, Jonathan Stewart. He has health problems. He's getting old. He's got health problems, and I'm not sure what they think about. I'm just blanking on names today. Cameron
Artis-Payne.
Cameron Artis-Payne. That they always, every time Stewart gets hurt, he comes in to start, and then once Stewart comes back, he goes back on
disappears.
List. So it's really weird. So I want to see him go. I want and expect him to see him go in this top 10. Honestly. Yeah,
I have Fournette's range anywhere from 4 to 14, with 4 being the Jags and 14 being the Eagles. You had touched on Fournette's combine. I mean, he weighed in at 240. He ran the 4.5, and that's a truck. But there were some things about him that just kind of threw people off. So he didn't have a perfect combine, but in my eyes, the tape trumps the combine every day. Like, you have to go with the tape. Are you going
to talk about his vertical or what?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, I don't.
That's so stupid.
I understand that it's an explosion thing and it's a measurement tool, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to just go crazy over that.
Guy's 240 freaking pounds. You want him to jump out of the building?
How about this? If Dalvin Cook, I'm sure you're going to talk about here soon as well. They both, by some people's standards, did not have great combines at all. If both of those guys skipped the combine, is there little to no doubt about either that they're both top 15 picks?
Yeah, I don't know how there is any doubt anyways, so.
I mean, yeah, even with the combines, but I don't know. I feel like the combine hurt those guys, if anything, but I mean, I was going to say it about Cook, but I feel like if teams are putting that much stock into the combine, Cook could go to a legit contender and be awesome right away.
Yeah, I mean, and as you said, Cook is my next guy on here to transition to him.
Yeah.
He is my second guy, and I think that's where people have been ranking him. I've seen a lot more Dalvin Cook ahead of Leonard Fournette than I expected to see. I like his explosion. He's got great speed. He's really agile, and he breaks tackles better than I think what people expect. He keeps his legs under him. That's the one thing I was impressed by him. When he's getting hit, he keeps his legs under him, where people like to lean their body forward, which gets you more off balance. When he gets hit, he keeps his legs underneath him, balanced, and spins off the tackles or sheds the tackles, and with a balanced, low center of gravity. So I like the way he runs for not being a huge guy. He can break tackles and actually run in between the tackle, and then he's the kind of guy that he's not a one cut necessarily. I've seen him 2 or 3 times before he burst through a hole, and then he's got that top end speed where you can't really chase him down from behind. The one real big flaw, and I know he has a tendency to drop passes, and I'm pretty sure it was him who had that wide open touchdown
Yeah.
pass, and he was running, and he went to switch hands and just tossed it out of bounds.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Dalvin Cook. So, I mean, mental things like that, you just got to show her up in general, I think. And I know he does have problems catching the ball every now and then, but he's still a good pass catcher. I really like Dalvin Cook. I can see him going somewhere to the 6th to the Jets, who could be a similar guy to like a Forte, who I also mentioned Mixon is kind of like. But it could be somebody that can catch the ball out of the backfield and replace the guy like Forte like that. Or to the Eagles at 14th. Again, you mentioned them with Leonard Fournette. And then I said also the Colts, Frank Gore, how many times did I talk about him being a skeleton? I mean, a freaking mummy on the field for the Colts. They need a running back in there. They need somebody to play an actual running back position in there and take a little pressure off of Andrew Luck. I mean, that guy gets hit more than anybody.
Right.
I feel like he gets hit and abused more than any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Get him a running back.
Right. Yeah, I love Dalvin Cook. He's personally my top-ranked running back in the draft this year. Just, I don't know, I've watched quite a bit of Florida State since he's been there, and man, every time I watch him, he's just super impressive. And like I said, man, the tape trumps the combine. Like, I know the combine's important. I know it's there for a reason. They don't do it just for the fun of it. But I can't not like Dalvin Cook, and I really think that, I don't know, man, with a guy like that, the ceiling's the roof. So you just can't go.
Good job.
You can't go wrong with Dalvin Cook. And here's one other thing I wanted to touch on with that. I think he can have a longer career than a guy like Leonard Fournette. And in today's NFL, I just feel like being able to pair him with someone or just using him more out of the backfield is going to extend his career. And I don't know, I really like Fournette as well, but in my eyes, you cannot go wrong with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. So, and then the next guy I like almost as much, and it's weird, maybe I'm wrong, but I like him almost as much as Dalvin Cook. I like Joe Mixon. I know he's going to go later due to his little beating problem, but I like his game. He's a solid running back. He sees holes well. He's got good speed as well. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's another all-around running back, I think, that you could play 3 downs. I think he blocks a little bit better than Dalvin Cook. I think he's a better pass blocker than Cook. I almost put him ahead of Dalvin, but I just put him below because I think obviously he's going to go a little later due to his troubles. So I have him going. I put him. He'll probably go later than this, but I kind of went with teams that I thought would take a higher risk on someone like him. And the teams that I put down here, I think the Skins could take a risk with him at the 17th pick. I don't think anybody's sold on Matt Jones, and whoever else they have there. I mean, they don't really have a running back there.
Right.
I could see the Bucks taking a risk on him. I mean, Doug Martin's not healthy, and who was the backup last?
They got Jacquizz Rodgers. They just re-signed him as well.
Rodgers, yeah, he's too small of a guy to rely on every down. So. And then also the Giants, I think, would be a great landing place for him. Paul Perkins is more of a third down back to me as well. I don't think he's going to play all 3 downs. I know they're probably similar in size. But, I mean, Joe Mixon seems like a guy who sees the hole, has great vision, and is just a great running back. He's running the ball, and he can catch it as well. So I would be real interested in him at the Giants. If I had the Giants, I might take a risk with him at the 23rd pick.
Yeah, I really like the 3 teams that you mentioned, and I think it would be super interesting to see where a lot of the draft experts have him ranked if he would have been invited to the Combine, because right now he's kind of just the big unknown. Some people have a first-round grade on him. Other people have saying, hey, we're not even going to draft this kind of guy. But in my eyes, he's too talented to pass on. If one of those teams doesn't take him in the first, I honestly think he's too good to not go in the second, third at the very latest, in my opinion. I'm with you, though. I like Joe Mixon. So I think the Bucs. I didn't think about the Bucs until now because I've kind of got my heart set on Adrian Peterson still somehow making his way there. But I think that'd be a great fit.
Yeah. And then the 4th guy I have is Christian McCaffrey. Honestly, I think we all know what Christian McCaffrey is about. He's kind of an all-purpose punt return, kick return, catch the ball in the open field, make some moves, flashy type of guy. But again, I don't think he's an every down running back. I don't think I don't think he's a first and second down between the tackle guys. I know he played in the Stanford offense, obviously, that does run the ball between the tackles, but in the NFL, I just think he'll get tossed around and hit a little bit more and won't be able to last as long. I could see him going in the first round, but I think I have two teams I think it'd go to, and I think it would be more luxury picks for these guys, maybe best overall having a weapon. I like potentially the Seahawks as a landing spot for him, as somebody they can do everything with, a wide receiver, running back, or in the special team position. I do know that they have, obviously, Tyler Lockett, obviously returning, but Christian McCaffrey you can use in so many different ways. And also the Pats at number 32 would find 100,000 different ways to use something like Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
So I feel like if somebody's going to get him, it's going to be somebody in that 24 to 32 range, one of those playoff teams.
Yeah.
And even like the Chiefs potentially replacing like a guy like Jamal Charles.
Oh, yeah.
Could be a good replacement for him as well.
Right. He's kind of the opposite of Cook and Fournette in regards to the combine. He had, by a lot of people's standards, a great combine. And I saw this question on Twitter, and I wanted to ask you, but if you were creating a team and you had a dual running back situation, would you want a lesser-known quality power back and a guy like McCaffrey, or would you want Leonard Fournette and then a less-known, not as quality scat back? Which combo would you rather have?
Holy shit. So a lesser-known... Okay. Let me rethink that in my head. So
you want me to write it down for you?
A lesser-known quality running back and a guy like McCaffrey, or a Leonard Fournette and a lesser-known guy like McCaffrey?
Correct.
I'd want the guy who can play all three downs, personally.
Oh, gee, look at you with your option C.
I would want the Leonard Fournette.
So you want...
guy who could play all three downs, and then if you need a guy to come out there and catch a pass, like Jacquizz Rodgers or something like Bill Powell or something like that, have that option to go to, or like the guy at Carolina that they recently just signed. I'm really bad with names today. Fozzie Whitaker.
Fozzie Whitaker, yeah.
Yeah, somebody like that with a Leonard Fournette. Absolutely, I'll take Leonard Fournette in that position. I want a guy that's, especially Leonard Fournette, that I think is a lot like Adrian Peterson, more than I want to take a Christian McCaffrey, where I don't know what I'm going to get out of him in the NFL. Well, I think I do know I'm going to get a very solid running back out of Fournette.
See, I would go the opposite way. After thinking of it, right away I was with you. But the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I feel like the career for these guys, a guy like McCaffrey, if you can not have him as an every down running back, you're going to get more out of him that way. And I feel like if you can bring in any bruiser that can like run a first and second down and in must run situations, go ahead and you can have your guy there. A lot of it in my eyes for the running back is on the line anyways. So
there's 100 McCaffreys. Oh, sorry.
But okay, in my eyes though, Christian McCaffrey is a better Danny Woodhead. And Danny Woodhead is a really good quality running back. And if you can get someone that's even better than him as that scat back that you can throw him in the backfield, you can put him at slot receiver. I don't know. I really turned on this, and I think if you're giving me that option, I would take Christian McCaffrey and a lesser-known power back than I would Fournette and a lesser-known scat back.
So you would take DJ Yeldon and Chris Ivory?
Okay, well, what do you want? Jerick McKinnon and Adrian Peterson? They didn't go anywhere.
Okay, don't use Adrian Peterson the year that he gets hurt.
Okay, don't use Chris Ivory the year he gets hurt.
There's 100 Christian McCaffreys, and there's one Leonard Fournette. Like,
no.
How many teams? I would bet multiple millions of dollars Christian McCaffrey plays for 7 teams, and Leonard Fournette plays like 2. Okay? So they're just going to...
Because his career's going to be shorter.
What?
Because Fournette's going to be done in a couple of years. He's taking a pounding, man. He's Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, but you're going to get some great years out of him. And then you can replace him with another guy a few years later.
Or you can keep replacing this big power back every 3 years, and you can have McCaffrey for 10.
No, McCaffrey's not going to stay anywhere for more than freaking... He'll stay at wherever for his rookie contract. They don't move. a place every 1 to 2 years after that. Just like Darren Sproles.
I am so glad that we have this. I'm so glad that we have this on recording so I can go back when Christian McCaffrey is a multiple Pro Bowler and has helped guide the New England Patriots to 3 more championships.
All right. And then the last guy, moving on. I ranked, I'm not high on it all, Alvin Kamara. I don't, from what I've seen and what I watched and some of the highlights I watched highlights that were just good highlights of him. And I didn't even think they were that good.
That's a bad thing. He's
going to be, to me, he's a second round pick. And he's a lot like, and I this is your guy here, but to me, he reminds me of Jay Ajayi. He needs to hit the hole. He doesn't, he's a one cut and go. If that hole's not there, it's trouble. He's not agile. His burst. He's got a great opening burst. Like, there's sickness. A great opening burst. I was saying today that I was guessing. I didn't look at his 40, but I was guessing he ran somewhere around a 4.6. I was close. It was like a 4.56, so it wasn't super fast. But I didn't look at this, and I know that they measure splits, but I didn't know if they measure each split. I was guessing that his first 10-yard split was faster than the rest. But because he goes from 0 to top speed like Taylor Martinez used to do back when I watched him in the Nebraska days.
Yeah.
He hits the hole hard and he hits the hole fast, and he's a strong running back. There's no doubt about that. But he lacks vision, and he's more like a C.J. Anderson or a Jay Ajayi to me. Not a guy I'm overly excited about, and not a guy I think is going to be consistently that great in the NFL, and I think he will only work in certain type of zone blocking schemes.
Yeah.
Personally. So I have him going maybe in the second round to the Jags if they don't take like Fournette, or also potentially to the Jets at 39, or the Panthers at the 40th pick if he's there in the second round.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's more of a second-round guy as well. The thing is, at Tennessee, he's never really fully utilized, and he doesn't have a ton of carries, which is kind of a good thing as well. He split time with Jalen Hurd, so we haven't really seen the best of him, or we haven't seen everything that he can do. Also, Tennessee, they played from behind all the time last year. They had all those comeback wins, so running game wasn't one of the things that they could rely on much. So I'm not sure that we have there's tape on Kamara, but there's not a ton of great tape. I agree with you. But I honestly think that if you're even targeting a guy like Kamara in the second round, in my eyes, I'm waiting for a different running back in rounds 3, 4, 5. Nothing about Kamara blows me away. I don't think he's awesome at one thing, so I feel like you might as well get another quality guy if you're one of those early teams, especially if you're a team like the Jets when you need so many other positions. Getting another offensive lineman, getting someone in the secondary, doubling up on secondary if you need to, but just waiting. And, a couple of running backs here. They got Dante Foreman out of Texas, Samaje Perine, Oklahoma. A guy I really like here, Davion Smith out of Michigan. I think he's more of like a 3rd, 4th, 5th round kind of guy. But I think if he gets in the right system, you can develop him. He's maybe not your all-out, everyday starting running back, but I really think that he's a guy that you can pair with. Like, I kind of see him as like that Tevin Coleman to Devontae Freeman. I really like a guy like Davion Smith. I would rather have him than Kamara. So I think there's talent there. I think he's worth a draft pick. But in my eyes, if I'm running the team, which I'm not, by the way, I'm not taking him in the second round where he'll probably go just because there is so much quality after him.
Here's my scouting report on Kamara that I texted you 5 seconds after watching him.
Yeah.
I nailed him down within 5 seconds. And then I read his strengths and weaknesses by pro scouts, and they were basically identical to what I said. I said, this guy ran near a 4.6 40 from just watching his highlights. Runs strong, but doesn't have great agility. He's a one-cut-and-go guy with a good burst through hole, but lacks breakaway speed.
Right.
I'm not too excited about him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, and probably with a lot of other people that have watched a ton of tape, I think you're going to get the same thing with him. I don't think there's that one special trait that he has that makes him worthy of that high of a draft pick. Was there any other running backs you wanted to hit on?
That's all I got, but I want to tell the people that running backs is my specialty.
So
it's my specialty.
So
I love running backs. When I'm talking about running backs, listen.
There you go. So if you're doing our mock draft, we're going to do a first round mock draft as the draft gets closer. We'll give more information as we get closer to that. But DJ's saying, listen to him. Where I'm saying, man, you take Christian McCaffrey, sign yourself up for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Nice. Well, thanks again once for listening. Be sure to check out last week's episode. We broke down the AFC East and quarterbacks in the draft. If you haven't yet, make sure that you're checking us out on iTunes, where you can search Loaded Box. Subscribe, rate, review there. If you have any questions that you'd like answered, either right away on Twitter or on the podcast, let us know. We're on Twitter at Loaded Box. I think that's all I've got. Why don't you send us out?
I read somewhere their periods attract bears. Bears can smell the menstruation.